Welcome to the Safety Zone Podcast, a product of the National Work Zone Safety Information Clearinghouse. I'm Matt Moore, Director of Motion and Event Media here at the American Road and Transportation Builders Association, and the MC of the Safety Zone Podcast. This broadcast is in conjunction with the National Work Zone Awareness Week and the National Stand Down to Prevent Struck-By Incidents. Today, we are focusing on safe teen driving in roadway work zones. I'm going to turn this over to my colleague, Brad Sant, Director of the Clearinghouse, to introduce our panel and begin the show. So, Brad, hi there. Welcome back.
Thanks, Matt. And we are excited to be here today because we have an outstanding panel with us to share a welcome phenomenon that is growing across the country. And that is driver education for teens to help them safely navigate what sometimes can be a hazardous roadway construction zones. And we have a great group with us today. So let me introduce them. First, we have Tom Robbins, the founder of Work Zone Safe, and he'll kind of be the moderator today. Tom has been a pioneer in getting the teen driving program moving that he began in Oklahoma. We also have Gavin Osborne, with the Missouri FCCLA state officer and the Work Zone Safety Scholarship recipient. Gavin is a teen driver who has been helping to get this message out to his peers around the country. Next, we have Steve Boss, who's the executive director of the Wisconsin Transportation Builders Association. He pioneered this program in Wisconsin, helping to move it across the country, and we're going to hear from him about how he did that. And then also, we have Trapper Parks, who's a district engineer at the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, and the one who really took this bull by the horns and got the program moving so that Oklahoma could lead the way throughout the country to get the program going. So, Tom, before we get started, I want to emphasize that what we're doing with this program is more than teaching teens and other new drivers about safe work zone driving. It actually has the potential to help shift the culture towards safer driving as we help the next generation of drivers buy into that they need to drive more responsibly. So, Tom, talk to us. Tell us how this has got started and where we're going with it.
So the mission of Work Zone Safe is simple but powerful. It's for every new driver to know that there's a face and family behind every flag, cone, and flashing light. That's the new standard that we're setting across the country for all of our partners, whether it be contractors, first responders, road workers, whatever role that you play. We want every driver to know that there are faces and families behind every flag, cone, and flashing light. We do that in two ways. One, by giving teens an opportunity to actually meet a face behind the flag, cone, and flashing lights and walk through a work zone. And number two, we give them an opportunity to take an online course, modernizing and throwing out and shredding our pamphlets and giving teens and meeting them where they're at, which is with hands-on training and with online opportunity to be educated and engaged. We want new teen drivers not to be lectured to comply, but we want them to ultimately discover their work zone safe why. And as we help them discover that it's because there's a face and family behind every flag, cone, and flashing light, and all of us who share the roadway with them have a shared goal and mission to get home safe. And so what started with this program in Oklahoma with the support of our contractors, our Department of Transportation, our Turnpike Authority, our Highway Patrol, with just a few thousand students taking their first year, has blossomed with states all across the country adopting a program to educate and engage their teen drivers. And then also worked, so we're going to get 250,000 teens that are going to take this program this year. So we've set a new standard and a new marker. We're shredding our pamphlets. We've modernized work zone safety. So I want to kick off this podcast and conversation around teen driving with sort of the focus, the VIP of what we're talking about is that's teen drivers. And our teen here is Gavin Osborne. Gavin, as we mentioned, an FCCLA state officer. They got to learn about the program at the national convention at his FCCLA, who met Work Zone Safe and had an opportunity to take the course. Gavin, I got a couple questions for you. You were excited about being a driver and getting your driver's license. And but what were you taught initially? What did you learn when you went through driver's education about work zone or work zone safety?
So whenever I went through my state, which is Missouri's work zone education, honestly, I was kind of just going through everything, and what we were given is kind of just be careful. I mean, it didn't really go into any kind of detail. They pretty much just said, yeah, there'll be people out and watch out. So pretty much be careful. And I don't think that my driver's ed course really did a good job at telling me about the different things that could be going on in the work zone and like what actually to do whenever I encounter a work zone. So there was definitely a gap between what I should be knowing and then what I was actually told.
So, Gavin, what you're describing is what a lot of teenagers tell us, which is they have some anxiety going through a work zone. It's definitely something new for them to do, but they're a little bit scared and don't feel like they're quite prepared. Would you say that was kind of your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely was. Whenever I was going through them, it's just kind of, your white knuckles on the steering wheel and you're just trying to get around through and you don't really know what to do. I'll say that for sure.
So, Gavin, what was the difference if you were a little bit scared and unprepared going through driver's ed and didn't know how to successfully or confidently navigate a work zone? When you had the opportunity to go through the Work Zone Safe course, what did you learn? What did you find out?
So I definitely found out a lot, actually. I learned, first off, that these road workers are people too. And really, the most important thing I think that I gained from it is learning that these road workers, they have families that they want to get back to. They have people that they are trying to get home towards. Whenever I'm driving through a work zone and I'm trying to get somewhere, I learned that it's really important that they want to get somewhere too. Like at the end of the day, whenever they're getting off from the work zone, they're trying to go home to their families. And I think it's really important to acknowledge and to realize how important they are to someone else. And I think that giving them the proper respect and acknowledging that that's where they work, that's kind of their office, and just treating them like just other people and just giving them that sort of safety in their workplace is really important.
So, Gavin, learning about the faces behind the flag cone and flashing lights and hearing from even teens in the online program who lost their dad in a work zone crash because a driver made a poor decision. Did that change kind of what you thought as you were going through your next work zone as you saw those flags, cones, and flashing lights?
Absolutely. It 100% did. I think that whenever I kind of learned more about it, whenever I realized what other people were going through, it definitely made me more careful. I kind of saw them as just not like obstacles to get around, but really people too. And I think it's really important for other teens to acknowledge that, for other teens to realize that it is important to slow down. It is important to pay attention because it's really sad to hear stories of whenever people don't make it home, whenever road workers don't have the opportunity to come back to their families. I have heard too many stories about people who have lost really good fathers, really good people in their family because of someone who was just really just not, just comes down to being dumb, honestly, in work zones, just making some really poor decisions and then ultimately leading to a tragic crash. And it's really sad. It's a little bit frustrating to know that people are causing others to lose loved ones.
How can we communicate to teens to help them understand? What is the message we can share to make them appreciate what you're now appreciating about being a little bit safer when you're driving through construction zones?
So I think that teens going through construction zones just need to understand the message of being careful. Whenever they're driving through, that's all they should be doing is really driving. I mean, being a teen myself, I definitely get the urge to go to the next song on your playlist or trying to pick out the next thing. And it's just like, honestly, it's like, it's tough. But to me, I think that they should just really be careful, honestly. Like, I will say that, like, it's just really important for these teens to know that there are people too, that these are families out there, and we just have to be, we're just all in this together. We're all people, and we just have to give them like the proper like respect and everything. And I think that it's really important, like, to just kind of put your phone down and just drive, honestly.
Right. How do we reach teen drivers? How do we talk to them in a way that they understand that message?
Yeah, I think that the really important thing to reach basically the teen drivers is just not giving out pamphlets. Like, really, whenever we talk to teen drivers now, like when being a teen, I can remember actually last year. This is kind of a little bit of an example. Last year, whenever I went to prom, we had like a project prom thing. And in the morning, we had like this whole presentation about safe driving, and they were giving us out these like pamphlets and everything. And I just don't think that's really the right way to get to teens, like get the message out. I think it's really important to know that a lot of teens like are on social media, and I think that kind of meeting them halfway with these like social platforms and everything, meeting them kind of in the middle, like where they're already at, like just talking to teens and like giving them like these like paper materials and everything. It's just not the way to go. So I think it's really important to maybe do posts, maybe do like some online things. Like, I mean, the world is kind of online, and I think meeting us halfway is where it's at for sure.
Oklahoma became the first state in the country to launch Work Zone Safe program, and also became the first state in the country to pass a law to require all new teen drivers to take a Work Zone Safe course on Work Zone and Move Over safety before they receive their driver's license. One of the first calls I got was from Steve Boss, the executive director of the Wisconsin Transportation Building Association. Steve, we're super excited, you and your staff, to get things going. Why did WTBA decide to modernize and launch a Work Zone Safe program for your teen drivers? And how did you do it?
Well, we can't go to any conference of ours at the WTBA without hearing from our members or without hearing from our Department of Transportation that our workers' safety is our priority. It's the number one thing. We do pounded. I think we've had a speaker on this for every conference we've had for decades. But when I came here to WTBA, I realized talk is cheap, and we can talk until people's eyes glaze over on this. But we got to do something a little bit different. We got to look at interesting new ways to reach people. And so that's why we started looking around at tools we could do to be more effective in that message and do more than talk, do something about it, and actually make a tangible investment in it. And that's where you came in, Tom. All of us in association management are in the R&D business, ripoff and duplication. We looked around the country and looked for best practices of who's doing this well. And Oklahoma stood out as a state that was doing something creative. We investigated, we talked to you. You were very helpful in putting that together, and we found an application for it here in Wisconsin. And so that's how it got started as a proof of concept. And what we decided to do is not just create the tool, the online tool. As Gavin said, most of our lives now are online. And so we didn't want this just to be lectured in the schools, but we wanted it to be an online interactive tool. And that's how it was designed. But we also wanted to require that students take it. And so we got language passed into law here in Wisconsin requiring work zone safety education. And that really got the ball rolling.
So in the current environment politically, there's not a lot that many people seem to be able to agree on. But in states all across the country, they've been able to successfully pass this modernized requirement to have new teen drivers take an education course or instruction to learn about work zone and move over safety. How was that received? Did it take you guys a couple of years to pass it, or kind of from idea to when it became law? What did that look like? How did you guys modernize that for teen drivers in Wisconsin?
Well, government, even at its best and most well-intentioned, moves at the speed of government. And so we decided we were gonna go and start doing this and hope that they would follow. So we launched the program as a proof of concept. We paid for the program here at the WTBA. We got partners to invest in it. We funded it, got it started, and we were confident that if we did it right, and if we got the results we thought we were going to get, it would have a compelling message for us to take to the legislature and take to the governor and try and get state buy-in and state investment in it. And that's how it happened. So we took the lead. We weren't willing to sit and wait and move at the speed of government on this one. We put our money where our mouths were. and invested in this program. And sure enough, the results have been very positive, and it's been a positive message we were able to go to the legislature and the governor with, rather than a negative or a scolding message. We allowed them to jump on the bandwagon of something that was already successful, which was a big advantage for us as we tried to move enabling legislation through the legislature and then funding legislation subsequently.
So you guys actually started it. You created the spark. You were supported by your members. Basically, gift wrapped it, tested it out, promoted it, and then got legislation passed. And now it's actually going to be that the program itself is going to be supported, adopted by Wisconsin Department of Transportation, WSDOT, with your guys' continued support. So that's a model that's been successful. Now, this last week, you guys did the first ever hands-on walkthrough WorkZone. How's it been received by your members to be able to have this program, to be able to have this new law passed, but then to be able to start doing some of the things like you did last week, which is partner at different events like this FCCLA state convention to give your members an opportunity to be the faces behind the flag cone and flashing lights?
Yeah, our members, just like the legislature and the governors, our government partners and our members alike, have been encouraged by the success of the program. And they want to, again, jump on the bandwagon of something that's successful. And so it's been really easy to get buy-in from our members and participation from our members in things like these conferences. It makes the issue tangible. It moves it beyond lip service to actual tangible progress for them. And I think that makes everybody feel good. And it also makes a difference. I mean, we all know that the tree grows the way the twig is bent. And so getting this message and getting this instruction in on the front end as people are learning and developing those driving habits is key in getting everybody who works for all of our companies home safely every day.
Yeah, I like to say nobody wakes up on their 50th birthday and says, well, today I'm going to be a WorkZone safe driver. They either understand that principle when the keys are placed in their hands and they have a powerful understanding that there's a face behind the flag cone and flashing a light, or they don't get that and their driving behavior is accordingly. So kind of final question, there's a lot on the plate for associations like yourself. DOTs definitely have a lot of moving parts and a lot of projects. What is your advice to fellow associations, state DOTs, considering modernizing their teen driver safety program, doing something similar like you guys have done in Wisconsin?
Well, I would say two things. First of all, don't wait for somebody else to lead. If this is a priority for you and your association, you've got to take the lead on it and then have others come along. Don't wait for somebody else to lead on your priority. Be a participant in your own rescue. Be a participant in your own success. So that's the first thing. And the second very important thing is to do this positively. Do it with a message of optimism. Don't be a scold. Don't be pointing fingers. Instead, point to the positive benefit that can happen if this is done right and done effectively. You want people to be bought in on success rather than fighting failure. We have more states engaged in it, and so there's more models they can work from. This sounds like I'm sucking up to you here, Brad, but the first thing I'd do is call ARTBA and call Brad and find out what's being done in other states and then matching those best practices to your state's situation. That's really the best way to do it. I mean, what we've been doing, Tom and then us and other states, it kind of follows the laboratories of democracy model of, we're not having a federal one-size-fits-all solution, but we have these models. And what works in Oklahoma, a lot of that may transfer seamlessly to Wisconsin, but there might be some Wisconsin-specific tweaks we want to do. And I think as other states look at this, the advantage they have now is we've got proof of concept out there in a number of different states in a number of different ways that they can tap into. And then they can look at how they might want to modify certain things to match their own state. A good for instance on that, when we took the model from Oklahoma, the stories we use in the online course, the personal anecdotes, the tragedies are all Wisconsin specific. They are right here, people who live in our neighborhoods, who work for our companies, who are neighbors next door. And so we made it very personalized to the state. Even though we were using a template that was very similar to another state, we personalized the information. So any state looking to do this, I'd call up Brad, I'd find out what's going on in different states, look at those, and then look at which ones can be best modified and best personalized for your state and your constituency.
Rightfully so, the road building industry in our DOTs for decades has raised money to support kids whose parents have been permanently injured or killed in a work zone. And we'll honor that and recognize that during National Work Zone Safe Awareness Week as we stand in front of our memorials. This kind of flips the coin a little bit. That says, in addition to that, let's recognize and reward teen drivers and say thank you for learning about us and learning about the faces behind the flagpole and flashing lights. And so we started right out of the gate with this idea, with support from a lot of the associations all across the country and the states that we're operating in, to be able to help fund scholarships. And Work Zone Safe just crossed the threshold about 2 months ago of giving out $50,000 in scholarships. So with our partners, we're able to get these teams and we recognize and reward them and we say thank you. And standing up on stage and saying, hey, you're an awesome team leader, you're great at putting on an event with your peers, or whatever it was that got them sort of the head of the pack. That's a shift in our mindset. I think too often when we gather around with our orange ribbons and at our memorials, there's only people there from the industry and people that wear the reflected orange. We need to broaden it out and invite teen drivers into the conversation. And that starts with inviting them to learn about us, but then when they do, saying thank you and recognizing and rewarding them. Well, thanks, Steve. So Trapper Parks, Oklahoma, you're a district engineer, you're in the field. What is your team, your crews, your guys that are out there doing all the work, working with your contractors day-to-day basis? How are they feeling in the work zone? What's been their sort of experience, which I know represents a lot of DOT crews across the country? How are they feeling as far as safety in a work zone with today's drivers?
Yeah, Tom, I think, our workers that are out on the highways and alongside the highways, they know they're at risk. Those locations are their office space, and they've got traffic traveling anywhere from 70 miles per hour, in some cases faster, within feet of where they're working. And it just takes one person that is not paying attention coming through their work zone that can enter their work zone and have tragic results. So they know that they're at risk, and they want to do all they can to start to shift that culture of safety as people travel across our highways, and in particular through their work zones.
So your district in particular in Oklahoma has been able to host what we call a face behind the flag cone and flashing light walk through work zone, giving teens an opportunity to meet someone from your crew or a contractor or first responder, be able to walk through that work zone, and then invited to take the Oklahoma Work Zone Safe course. I always like to say that employees in the field out in the district don't usually join a DOT to become public speakers. They can be a little bit nervous. It might be something that they're not naturally doing. How has that been received, that opportunity to host walkthrough work zones? How's that gone for your teams that have done it?
Yeah, and I'm case in point that you don't work for Department of Transportation hoping to become a public speaker, but here I am. But I'll tell you, our crews, they have taken on this initiative and truly want to be a part of it because it impacts their safety on the job site. If they can start to instill that culture into the young drivers right as they're starting to, get their driver's license and actually get out on their own driving across these highways and other streets, that if they can start to build that safety culture and start to transition it to where they are looking at this as, they're driving by someone's mom or dad or brother or sister, and, they start to relate to that, and it makes a difference. So they have fully embraced it. And we have one crew in particular, we have a road maintenance supervisor that has really jumped onto this and is enthusiastic and really interacts with the different students and groups that he comes across to be able to really put, like you said, a face behind these cones and the flashing lights and the work zones that they go through. And he's done a great job at being able to spread that message and let them see that these are people real people that are out there just trying to do their job day to day. And it just happens to be that, their job, unfortunately, inconveniences people as they're trying to get to their destination. But it's required. We have to maintain and keep up our roadways on a yearly basis. And it's just like a house or a car or anything else. And, you have to do that maintenance and that upkeep. And part of that is having people in close proximity to traffic. So we've really embraced trying to spread that message and put the faces behind these cones and the work zones that they go through.
Your crews have done a fantastic job. They're enthusiastic, each of them, and it's probably, you unfortunately have too many stories to tell of close calls, injuries, or worse. It's something that their passion comes across. And when they're in the local communities hosting these walk-through work zones, often what I'll see is that, hey, they see a kid that they know because they coached them on the softball team, or they see a kid that they know because, they live in their neighborhood, or their kids grew up together. So it really personalizes it. Since we started this initiative, over 50,000 teens have gone through a walk-through work zone. Gavin, who's part of FCCLA, we host those at state FCCLA conventions across the country. Your team was just at the one in Tulsa for the Oklahoma FCCLA convention and talked to thousands of teens walking them through a work zone. And so it gives them that hands-on approach. Trapper, what would you tell departments of transportation across the country and their contractors who are thinking about doing something that other states have done, like Oklahoma, like Wisconsin, in implementing this program? What would be your message to them?
Yeah, I would highly encourage it. It begins to make a difference. And just like investing, the best time to start was 50 years ago, right? But the next best time is right now. So the quicker you start trying to spread this message and really make a hands-on impact to where people are seeing, who these people are that are out there doing this work, and put it in a relative terms that, hey, this could be your mom or your dad or your relative that is out there. And so, I would encourage them to start now. Just like Steve said earlier, there's a lot of models out there that they can pick up from, so they're not having to start from scratch. They can modify those models to fit their needs, and it truly does begin to make an impact as we start to get this message to the teen drivers and make them realize that these decisions that they're making as they drive through these work zones are life altering potentially. Not only to the families of the workers out there, but to their own lives. That if they unfortunately strike a worker, that's something that they have to live with for the rest of their life. And we certainly don't want that. So it's not only to promote the safety of our workers, although that's our priority and our focus. It's also to promote the safety of the drivers going through the work zones, as we don't want anything bad to happen to them either. And I would say in Oklahoma, in our agency's history, with the Oklahoma Department of Transportation and the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority, we have unfortunately lost 74 people in the line of duty doing transportation work. And but when you think about the drivers going through the work zones, we've lost nearly that many in the last 5 years, just the drivers themselves, not our workers. And so we want them to also see the importance of this in relation to their own safety and the other drivers.
It's a great message. Yeah. I said that's a great message. I also want to say, if you're a DOT and a contractor, you're listening to this, watching this, and you want to learn how to do a walkthrough work zone, because of our great national supporters, ARPA, NAPA, ATSA, and others, you can come to any training that or any event that we're doing across the country. So whether that's in Oklahoma or Wisconsin or Kansas or Missouri, anywhere that we're hosting a walkthrough work zone, you can send somebody there and we'll do a free hands-on train the trainer. We want you to bring this back to your state. We want you to empower your crews. We want you to work with your contractors and first responders. We want you to be able to deliver these messages to as many teams as possible. We're at 50,000 teams who have gone through a walkthrough work zone. We want to double that and triple that. And so if that's something that you're interested, get with Brad. He'll connect you with us. But at no charge, just come, show up, and we will put you in the mix. You'll be right there with the DOT and the contractors. You'll be right there with the teams going through the program with the goal of you bringing it back to your own state and getting this going and empowering your workers.
Perfect. And I want to turn now a question back to you, Tom, because you've been working on this for a number of years. And the point I think I want to make is just kind of underscore what Trapper and Steve have already said and you have said, is that this has happened very differently and uniquely around the country. So if I'm not mistaken, Oklahoma started when you got involved with the governor's office. It kind of started at the DOT level. Wisconsin, it started at the contractor association level. I know, in Pennsylvania, they kind of looked at the program. They did their own thing. Connecticut is not just teen drivers, it's anybody who gets a citation. So talk to us a little bit about some of the nuances that are happening around the country and how states can really make this their own to make it fit however it's working in their area.
So number one, the unifying goal is we're no longer handing out pamphlets, plastic bags, and pens. That doesn't protect anyone. People are getting hurt, injured, and killed. We need to modernize teen driver safety. And just like our team participants said, we need to meet teens where they're at. And that's not with pamphlets. We need to give them a hands-on opportunity to learn about the faces behind the flag cone and flashing light, and an online opportunity. Typically, every state has pamphlets, and they fight over 1 or 2 questions on the driver's test. Shred your pamphlets, modernize your program. The driver's test, keep asking those 1 or 2 questions, but have a standalone program that you can first introduce voluntarily that covers everything they need to know about driving through a work zone and sharing it with our contractors and first responders and fellow drivers. Learn about seatbelt, speeding, distraction, impairment, signs, scenarios, and of course, most importantly, the faces behind the flag cone and flashing light. Get that launched voluntarily. We can help you with that, but put that out there. Your initial champions are going to be your contractors, your DOT workers, first responders. They're going to send it to their kids, their grandkids, teens that they know. Start rewarding them with scholarships. Start putting a spotlight on it. And then go as a coalition, whether that's your road building associations or the different coalition of folks, and look at the different models. There's a lot of different ways that you can do it. In Oklahoma, there's a simple 1-sentence change in the legislation. It just says that teen drivers shall complete the Oklahoma Department of Transportation's approved free course on work zone and move over safety, period. Other states, like Wisconsin, they went and said they need to do that, and there needs to be a certain time. They need to get 30 minutes of instruction. Connecticut, like you mentioned, the DOT head there, Garrett Isolito, reached out to me. They had a worker, unfortunately, that was killed. He said, I don't want to build just another memorial with a name on it. I want to change. And so they introduced legislation. All new teen drivers have to take Connecticut Work Zone Safe. Anybody who gets a ticket in a work zone, because it's probably been 30 or 40 years since they even thought about work zone safe driving. They definitely, because of what they were doing, their behavior, weren't thinking about other people they were sharing the work zone with. So we don't just want them to comply, we want them to discover their why. In addition to that, Connecticut is requiring anybody who's never had a license before, or if you've let your license lapse. So we get older drivers. We're getting a lot of English as a second language. In fact, they're going to be working with me next year to put it all in Spanish. So we're not only getting thousands of young new teen drivers, we're also getting thousands. They've had over 25,000 drivers go through Connecticut Work Zone Safe since January. Incredible. And so whether it's putting it in a different language, whether it's recognizing that people who get a violation, we don't just want them to be frustrated because they got fined. We want to change their behavior, and then getting at our teen drivers. It's a multi-pronged approach. So there's legislation that's been passed in all across the country. It's the new standard for what DOTs are doing. So you're right, Brad. There's multiple models. Every state's different. Every DOT is different. Every association is different that's supporting it. But there's a lot that you can choose from. You can make it your own, and then just doing it. It used to be that there was a national top-down. We're going to have a national spokesman. We're going to have a national message. Everyone's got to do the same thing. Now, because of technology and modernization, you can have your own turnkey program for your state with your hard hats, your logos, your scenarios, unfortunately highlighting the incidents that have happened in your state, making it personal, and that you can launch that in a turnkey way. And then you can come up with the law or what works for your state and what will be accepted by your legislature. The great news, red state, blue state, purple state, it's happened in all those. It's a unifying principle that people care about work zone safety. They want their teen drivers to be educated, and it's been a great success. We've gone from 2,000 drivers in Oklahoma to over 250,000 this year across the country. We want to double that, and we're on our way.
All right. So wrap up. Let's start with Steve, then Trapper, then Tom. How do people reach you in your state if they want to get involved?
Well, happy to talk to anybody about this. You can contact me at the Wisconsin Transportation Builders Association, WTBA. My email is sbaas@wtba.org. You can also go to our webpage at wtba.org, and you can find out all the information about our association, about this program, and others. We'd love to talk to you and share our experience with you.
Yeah, for Oklahoma, you can visit our website at oklahoma.gov/ODOT. You can also reach out to me directly, and my email is tparks@odot.org. I'd be happy to visit anyone with questions that they may have. And obviously here in Oklahoma, Tom is a wealth of knowledge about this as he got a lot of this started, and his leadership and enthusiasm has really gotten us off the ground.
All right, Tom, anywhere else? What do you got to tell them? Tell them about Work Zone Safe. We haven't really talked about Work Zone Safe much, really, specifically.
If you support our mission, which is for every new driver to know that there's a face and family behind every flag, cone, and flashing light, reach out, partner with us. Let's get this message out to your new drivers. Go to workzonesafe.com. You can also reach me at tom@workzonesafe.com. But eyes up, phone down, buckle up, slow down. We'll do this together.
Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us here. As you notice, a lot of us are wearing orange here today. The plan is to release this on Go Orange Day of Work Zone Awareness Week. That's Wednesday, April 22nd. And to wrap us up, we're going to go back to Matt Moore.
Thanks, Brad. This has been another great episode of the Safety Zone podcast. A special thanks and virtual round of applause to all of our presenters. For more critical safety-related content, please visit the National Work Zone Safety Information Clearinghouse at workzonesafety.org.